You ever have those moments you're trying to work, but you find yourself jumping from an email to a quick text, then a news alert pops up, and back again, all in like a minute? Yeah, it's not just you. Today, we're going to dive into something called the 47-second brain. It's this pretty startling idea about how our digital world is changing our ability to focus, and more importantly, what the science says we can actually do about it. Okay, let's just start with one number. It's kind of jaw-dropping, and it pretty much sets the stage for everything we're going to talk about. There's this researcher, Dr. Gloria Mark at the University of California, Irvine, and she's been studying our focus for decades. And what she found is that the average time we spend on any one screen before jumping to something else is just 47 seconds. That's it. Not even a full minute before our brain gets pulled in another direction. And this isn't just about being less productive. As Dr. Mark puts it so well here, this whole digital culture we've built, it's just not sustainable. It's literally a recipe for stress and exhaustion, leaving us all feeling completely drained in this constant storm of notifications and alerts. So let's just call it what it is for now, the 47-second brain. Now, obviously, that's not a real medical term, but man, it really captures this state of fragmented attention that just seems to define so much of our lives these days. So how in the world did we even get here? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle comes from a habit that a lot of us, and I'm guilty of this too, actually see as a strength. I'm talking about multitasking. But as we're about to see, it's pretty much a myth. So what's the real villain in this story? If you're someone who takes pride in being a great multitasker, this next part might sting a little. Because it turns out what we've been calling multitasking, it's not really what we think it is at all. Okay, so here's the big misconception. We think we're somehow juggling 2, 3, 4 tasks all at the same time. But our brains, they literally can't do that. It's just not how they're wired. What's actually happening is our brain is just switching back and forth really, really fast from one thing to the next. The real name for this is task switching. And every single time you jump from that report you're writing to check a text message, your brain pays a little cognitive price. It has to completely disengage from one thing and then load up an entirely new context. All that mental gear shifting is just plain exhausting and super inefficient. And the consequences, well, they're really real. We're not just talking about making more typos or working a little slower. No, this constant task switching has actual physical costs. It can spike your stress hormones, even raise your blood pressure and heart rate temporarily. And get this, over the long haul, studies have even linked it to symptoms of anxiety and depression. So yeah, make no mistake, this is definitely not some harmless little habit. And this is maybe the most startling part. There might be actual physical changes happening inside our brains. Now, it's important to say this research is correlational, right? It doesn't prove that multitasking causes this change. But what studies have found is that people who are heavy media multitaskers tend to have less brain density in a spot called the cingulate cortex. You can think of that as your brain's command center for emotions and attention. It's a pretty wild clue about the potential long-term impact. Okay, I know, this all sounds kind of bleak. It can feel like we're just stuck in this losing battle against our own phones and computers. But here's the twist in the story. It's not the whole picture. Our brains are incredibly adaptable, and we can actually use that to our advantage. So to understand how, let's quickly break down 2 types of attention. First, you've got voluntary attention. That's when you decide to focus on something, like when you're trying to learn a new skill. Then there's involuntary attention. That's when something just grabs your focus without you trying. A notification, a pop-up, a sudden noise. And this right here is the challenge of our modern world. So much of our technology, from those endless social media feeds to the ads that follow you everywhere, is meticulously, specifically designed to hijack your involuntary attention. Those dings and pings aren't a bug, they're a feature. They're built to pull you away from whatever it was you were doing. Which brings us to a really important question. If technology can be engineered to just shatter our focus into a million pieces, can we maybe flip that around? Can we use technology to actually build a stronger, more focused mind? And the answer is a resounding yes. But the tool to do it isn't some new app or some fancy gadget. Nope. Turns out it's an ancient technology, reading. For centuries, reading has been our single most powerful tool for training that deep, voluntary focus that we feel like we're losing. And you can literally see the proof in our brain's wiring. I'm not kidding. Neuroimaging actually shows that deep reading strengthens the brain's white matter. Now, you can think of white matter as like
the super fast internet cables of your brain, the highway system that connects all the different parts. And reading? It's like paving and widening those highways, making communication faster and way more efficient. It is, hands down, the ultimate workout for building a more focused, resilient mind.
All right, this is the good part, the empowering part. We are not just helpless victims of our technology. We can actively train our brains and shape our environments to get our focus back. So let's dive into some real practical strategies for taking back control. So how do we actually do this? Here are 5 things you can try. First, time blocking. Just give yourself, say, 25 minutes, phone off, notifications silenced, to work on one single thing. Second, schedule your email. Don't let it be a constant interruption. Maybe just check it twice a day. Third, turn off all non-essential alerts. Be ruthless about it. Fourth, a tidy desk can actually lead to a tidier mind. It reduces the visual clutter for your brain. And finally, try practicing a little mindfulness. It helps you notice that itch to switch tasks, which is the first step to ignoring it. And look, beyond those specific tactics, don't forget the basics. Building a focused brain is a whole body process. Things like regular exercise, challenging your brain with a puzzle or a hobby, actually connecting with people in the real world, and fueling your brain with good food, all of this builds up your cognitive reserve, which makes you naturally more resilient to all those distractions. So, in the end, it really all boils down to this. In a world that is just overflowing with information, your attention is your most precious, most valuable, and most limited resource. The real question isn't whether technology is good or bad, it's about how you personally are going to choose to invest that resource. So, what are you going to focus on today?